Hey, what's up, YouTubers? Red Crimson Gaming here. Sorry I haven't been uploading any videos as of lately because I've been pretty much busy and there's nothing really new in the world of Nintendo to report. But I'm here to let you guys know and to remind you all that the Switch 2 is only 4 days away. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it has all led up to this 8 years of waiting, or the past 4 years of waiting for the Nintendo Switch 2. All the speculation, all those leaks we've gotten, even though most of them were true, the Switch 2 has been the worst leak system ever. But none of that matters. But guys, it has all led up to this. Finally, the Switch 2 is up on us in a mere 4 short days. I really cannot believe this. Just 4 years ago, 3 years ago, we were all speculating about the system. We have got so many news about the Switch Pro ever since the launch of the OG Switch back in 2017, and we're finally here now. And the Switch 2 has exceeded all expectations and garnered a lot of haters. A lot of people out there do not want Nintendo to succeed for some strange and weird reason I do not understand. And that's more so the fanboys. Everybody has their favorite piece of plastic that they like, whether it's PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and they feel as if whatever platform they play on is better than the other platform that you and I and everybody else may play on. And it doesn't really work that way, guys. I'm just a gamer, just like majority of the people in the world. People outside of YouTube and social media don't really care about the propaganda and all the politics behind video games. We just want to play and enjoy video games, guys. And I'm just, man, I'm a late bird when it comes to feelings. Like, I don't really know how I feel when it comes to the excitement of the Switch 2 until it's finally here. That's the type of guy that I am. Yeah, the Switch 2 is right on our doorstep, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, I'm excited, but the excitement probably won't hit me at an all-time high until, boom, it's right there and it's time to get up and go and get it. Now, I've been seeing videos, I've been looking and I've been watching, seeing all these videos on YouTube of people hating on the Nintendo Switch, trying to downplay every chance they get. Oh, this game doesn't look all that great. Oh, look at his hair. You see the artifacts in his hair when he moves. And all these debate videos and the pricing situation. And as far as the pricing goes, these $80 games, the only game that's $80 is Mario Kart World. And to be fair, guys, I don't think any game is worth $80. But we also have to remember, we have gotten the $80 games and even $90 games back in the Super Nintendo era and the N64 era with those expensive cartridges. And that's how Nintendo ended up in hot water with those high-priced Nintendo 64 cartridges. I believe they were charging $32 a cartridge, and it had it had a small amount of data capacity that it can hold when compared to CDs. But that's all water under the bridge. I don't know if that's going to come back and haunt Nintendo. The only thing I see is that Nintendo, they had 8 years to really get the Switch 2 in order as far as where they wanted to see the console, like how they needed to structure it and put it out there to the masses. So we only have a 64 gigabyte cartridge, and developers are already having issues with the high price 64 gigabyte cartridges, and is not holding enough data. The games have become bigger over the years, and I've said many times Nintendo had 8 years to figure this out. If I was Nintendo, I would have just looked at the cartridge situation and said, you know what, even though we love cartridges, we're going to abandon the cartridges for now, but they could leave a cartridge slot for the backwards compatibility games off the Nintendo Switch from 2017, and they should have moved on from the cartridges as their main software and maybe went with like, I think a mini disc similar to what Sony did with the PSP would have made more sense with a Nintendo Switch 2. They could have came out with those mini Blu-ray discs, that whole 100, at least 100 gigs. They would have been fine if they have done so. It would have been a lot cheaper. But hey, we're here now. Nintendo decided to stick with the cartridges, and to add insult to injury, they do not have the 2 gig cartridge increments, 4 gig, 6 gig, 8, 16, 32, and whatever. I think they should have kept those same capacity cards going into the Switch 2, which is what I don't understand what Nintendo is doing. It's almost like Nintendo is just throwing their hat in the ring and they're just following in Xbox and PlayStation footsteps. More so Xbox footsteps with going digital. We all know Nintendo is a profitable company. So I just think they just decided to more so back digital because they're going to make all that money back, because they are taking a loss on the Nintendo Switch 2. So I think Nintendo dropped the ball as far as the type of software media that they should be using, or that they are using rather, with the Switch 2. They should have just went with a different storage media as far as games, like a mini Blu-ray disc. That's how I feel. And keep the cartridge slot for the 2017 backwards compatible Switch games with the enhancements. Of course, we need those enhancements via Xbox One style. But other than that, guys, it is what it is. We're here now. Only the future is going to let us know what's going to happen with the Nintendo Switch 2. But for right now, until the next 4 days, let us hold hands, bow heads in a moment of silence, and soak up all the positive energy and the excitement that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to bring, guys. And you're going to see your boy in that GameStop line waiting to pick up his pre-order. And what did I pre-order? The Mario Kart bundle, of course. So that's $500 in the bag. System is already paid for. I have the Pro 2 controller, and that's about it. I'm picking up from GameStop. The camera is pretty debatable, but I heard you can use your own camera, so maybe I may just use my Logitech camera and see how that works. I don't know yet. And when I get home, I would like to get Fast Fusion. I think that's a day one purchase for me as well. It's only $15. That's $5 cheaper than what they were selling it for with the OG Switch launch. I believe Fast RMX was either $20 or $25. I think it was $20. But I mean, if you know, guys, just let me know in the comment section. But we're getting the game a lot cheaper, and living in the era of high priced video games and these crazy tariffs, $15 for Fast Fusion is pretty much a steal. And I think the game will do well because, the Switch 2 launch lineup, even though they're launching with a good amount of games, I think 25 games, I could be wrong, it might be a little bit more than that, but that is a big launch for a system to have 25 plus games at launch. So that's still way under 100 games, still under 50 games. So Fast Fusion is going to be one of those top selling games as well. Even if you're skeptical about the game, you're looking for something new to play, you're going to probably pick that game up off of impulse because it's only $15 and it's a racing game. And there's some F-Zero fans out there, Wipeout fans, I'm a Wipeout fan myself, that are going to get this game. So I see Fast Fusion doing great in sales. And I'm also considering picking up Cyberpunk, even though I'm not a big fan of the game. But I would like to support CD Projekt Red because they did a solid, and they released the full game on a 64 gigabyte cartridge with the DLC included. And I want more developers going forward into the Switch 2 life to start putting more of their games on the Switch 2 cartridge versus only digital. I'm a physical kind of guy. I want all my games physically on the Nintendo Switch 2. And believe it or not, outside of the world of YouTube and social media, that's a big part of the success of the Nintendo Switch. That is one of the major reasons why the OG Switch was so successful, because collecting physical games, buying physical games for the Switch 2, it was where it's at, man. Like, it was just fun buying those physical games for the Nintendo Switch. And you have the background art when you open up the game case, and you have a manual sometimes and some other goodies as well. And the fact that you can have your collection sitting on the shelf, several years from now, you're going to have those games still sitting around. Your kids can play it. My daughter, she plays my games. I show her those games, and she likes them. She thinks it's cool. So we don't want to forget simple things like that, guys, because once we move into the digital era, that's it. You don't miss what you have until it's gone. And when physical is totally gone, everybody's gonna be like, oh man, I miss having those physical games. But part of the reason of the Nintendo Switch's success were those cartridges. Going out there to the store, buying those limited run physical editions, collector's editions, even online. Just knowing that you will have that game for a long time. You can look at your shelf, you can touch it, you can feel it. You don't have silly updates and patches that'll take away some of the exploits from those games. You have the vanilla version of the game where the exploits are there. If you want to have fun and exploit the game playing by yourself, those exploits are always fun when you're playing single player, the campaign mode. Games also get delisted, and companies have been doing a good job of keeping your purchase software still accessible when you connect your PS4 or any console for that matter. You may not be able to buy any more games, but you can go into the re-download section, at least from what I'm hearing, and re-download a lot of those games that we have purchased. So if your PlayStation or one of your old consoles crap out, you're able to buy a new console and go log into your account and re-download those games. So that's really good to know. I haven't tried it myself, but I've heard that we still have access to our re-downloaded games through the re-download section in your systems given eShop or PSN, Xbox, whatever. So that's dope. But no telling how that will last, guys, because eventually those servers are going to shut down, games get delisted, licenses get expired. We've seen that happen with many games, even across Steam. Trust me, guys. But not going to rant too long about that. Switch 2, I'm excited, guys. It's finally here. I can't believe it. It's finally here. And I'm definitely going to replay the Zelda games. I'm going to replay Tears of the Kingdom in glorious 4K HDR 60 FPS. I kind of wish, though, the Zelda games, preferably Breath of the Wild, or should I say especially Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it would have been nice if they had an option where you can play the game 1080p at 120 FPS. I would love to play Zelda or Breath of the Wild on 120 FPS, but 60 FPS is solid enough. It's great. I don't want to say I'm satisfied with 60, but 60 is more than sufficient, honestly, because I honestly do have Breath of the Wild on my PC, and I've been playing Breath of the Wild on my PC for several years now at 165 FPS and in 4K. But the funny thing about it is it doesn't look that much different from the Switch version, especially if you have a good OLED TV. So, and I've done comparison videos of Breath of the Wild running on my Legion Go versus Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch OLED, and Nintendo Switch OLED, believe it or not, still look better. So, but even playing on PC 165 FPS, I didn't see the difference. I didn't feel a difference. Of course, I mean, it felt like it was 60, so I don't know. But replaying these games, these Zelda games at 60 FPS, 4K, HDR, all those bells and whistles, is a good deal. I'm really looking forward to that. And I kind of wish the Switch 2 was an OLED screen, but from what I've seen, I mean, I still see the difference even in comparison. Even without the comparison, when they were showing the Switch 2 games running on it at the live event shows, it looked good, but I could still see a big difference, even without having both the OLED and the Switch 2 consoles side by side. I'm just so used to OLED. I know what OLED looked like from the different angles and the color popping, and I did see a difference. But holding the Switch 2 in person, I'm pretty sure the screen is great. I won't be thinking about the OLED as much, and I'm just going to enjoy what I have. I mean, it looks good. What can I say? It looks good. It looks really, really good. But in handheld mode, I just wish I had a 1080p, 120 FPS mode. I did it for Metroid Prime 4, but I don't know, guys. I don't know if the system can handle it or Nintendo's just weird like that. No. But yeah, that's about it, guys. I try not to rant too long, but I always end up ranting, man, and just talk about Nintendo. I can talk about Nintendo all day. We all can. Any of these YouTubers out here can. It's fun talking about Nintendo. But the hype is there. The excitement is at an all-time high. And I told you guys, your boy will be showing up at GameStop. I'm going to do a vlog. I don't know if I'm going to do a live, but I'm going to do a vlog for sure. And I'm going to upload that video, edit it real good, and just put it out there. Because up until that day, the Switch 2 releases, I'm going to be recording myself, aka vlogging from the wake up all the way to the GameStop to pick up my pre-order. I'll be chatting with people in line, having conversation, taking some gamer tags, and just do what gamers do. Post up, have fun, have conversations. And because, guys, we also have to remember that the Switch 2 just may be one of the biggest and last biggest launch for a console. At least I feel that way, because we're going into a digital age. So I have to make this vlog as great as I can make it. So when we go into the digital age and we look back, you guys can look back on this video and say, hey, I remember that day, June 5th. Everybody was going bonkers. Everybody went out to their local GameStop, retailer, Walmart, Target, Best Buy, whatever, and posted up in long lines, chatting with friends, chatting with strangers, and just soaking up the moment. Because this moment may just be the last moment going into the digital age. So you will have this video to remember how great gaming was in its final moments, where we still had physical games people would go out there and buy. So that's about it, guys. I'm gonna go. Signing out. If you're new to my channel, you already know what to do. Like and subscribe. Red Crimson, I am out of here, and see you June 5th. And let me know in the comment section, where did you guys pre-order your console from? What bundle did you get? What games are you getting? What retailer did you order from? Did you pre-order, or are you just gonna get up real early and just wait in line and hope that you can get a Switch? And speaking of waiting in line, Nintendo, I would say Nintendo kept up with their promises. The pre-orders were really tight. I mean, people ate those pre-orders up, and the pre-orders up until now that I'm talking to you have been sold out. Actually, the pre-orders are closed now. They should be closed now, but Nintendo promised that they're going to have a large amount of Switch 2s across the United States in every store for every customer, any random customer, to just go into a retailer and just pick up a Switch without the hassle. So that's a good thing. So basically, I'm hearing that stores are going to have I don't know about 100 Switch 2s, but at least most stores should have 70 walk-in units. So the first 70 people should be available to get a Nintendo Switch without a pre-order. And that's a great thing, because I remember back in 2017, these things were hard to find. Nintendo did not have many systems on store shelves like they're going to do with this launch. So kudos to Nintendo. They're trying to break the record of having the most systems sold within like what, the first week, the first month, the first year. And I think they'll be able to pull it off. And as far as the library of the games, I'm not really excited about the library of the Nintendo Switch 2. The library is not, I'm not saying the library is old is what I'm trying to say. I'm just using Nintendo, you know, when they come with a new system, they have like new games to play. But the only new games that I saw, or a game that I saw, was pretty much Dragon Drive, which is not going to be available at launch. Metroid Prime 4 is not going to be available at launch. And speaking about Metroid Prime, I'm disappointed in Nintendo. I think Metroid Prime 4 should have took the helm for the launch game. Prime 4 should have been a launch game for Nintendo Switch 2. And being that we haven't had a Prime game in a very long time, the Metroid game in a very long time, aside from Dread. And I know what you guys are going to say. Well, you know, Metroid is a Nintendo biggest selling franchise. And some of you guys out in the comment section will probably think that Metroid can't carry the Nintendo Switch. Now, listen to this, guys. Nobody knew, not even Nintendo themselves knew, that Breath of the Wild, a Zelda game, would be able to carry the Nintendo Switch. And Zelda is what carried the Switch for its first couple of years, guys, especially at launch. Nobody would have ever thought that, because this is the highest selling Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. Zelda has never sold 30 plus million. You know what I'm saying? It's always like in the main Zelda games may sell, like, if they're lucky, in the teens. But would have never thought that Zelda could have carried a Nintendo Switch, but it did. And I felt like Metroid Prime 4 was a perfect opportunity for Nintendo to take this game and let it be the launch lead title. And they denied Metroid of that opportunity, because what if they did put Prime 4 as the star launch title for the Switch 2? It probably, more than likely, for real, well, the probability is high that it would have sold gangbusters, which would at least put the Metroid series somewhere around on the same level as Zelda. And they denied Metroid of that. I mean, Nintendo did not have any confidence in their own title, which is kind of stupid to me, man. It was a perfect opportunity. And at least what they should have done was, at the most, or at least, they should have released Metroid Prime 4 alongside Mario Kart. So you have two games with two major franchises to choose from, because not everybody's into Mario Kart. And as to Mario Kart, to me, in a way, it's a very overrated game. It's a fun game, don't get me wrong, it's cool. You know, all the accolades and praise that Mario Kart has gotten, I'm not denying Mario Kart of that. But my thing is, guys, you're gonna get bored with Mario Kart within a week. I remember when I got Mario Kart 8, I was bored with it in a week. Actually, less than several days, I was bored with it. Even back on the Wii U, I didn't really pay that much mind, because it's just a racing game. And after, there's only so long you can play a racing game, especially a game like Mario Kart, especially if you're playing it by yourself. So you're not going to have people to play with all the time, and you want to switch it up, take a break from Mario Kart and play a different game. So Metroid Prime 4 would have been the perfect candidate, the perfect secondary game to choose from. So you'd have two Nintendo franchises at launch that's going to carry the system, sell it even more, and when you get bored of Mario Kart, you can just jump right onto Metroid, because Metroid is going to have more legs because it's an adventure game. That's all I'm saying. So shame on Nintendo for denying Metroid Prime 4 that glory. They could have carried a torch for the Nintendo Switch. And before I finally leave, guys, I know I said I was leaving. I know. But before I get off, before I bring this to a closing, I would just like to say this, man. And I probably could have said this for another video, but I'm just going to go ahead and just get into it quick, fast. I honestly think the way how Nintendo handled the Switch 2 launch as a whole is just they really dropped the ball to me, because they know we wanted themes and menu music, and I think that should have been a no-brainer with the Nintendo Switch. I think with the Nintendo Switch 2, they should have gave us a whole new interface, an appealing interface, messaging. I know we have chat, but are we gonna have messaging? They haven't mentioned anything about messaging. But you can't have chat without messaging. That would be so weird. But we should have had an overhaul on the UI. The eShop needs to be a lot better. We definitely need themes, and the eShop should look like the Wii U. The Wii U had a very, very nice eShop, even though it was a little slow, but it was still by far better than what the Switch 2 offered. And I just feel as if Nintendo just dropped the ball on themes, UI, and the whole eShop thing. And 12 gigs of RAM, that's Nintendo's just being backwards. One thing you don't want to cut corners on is RAM. I don't know why, for the life of me, Nintendo had 12 gigs of RAM in the system. 16 should have been the standard. That way, even if they did decide to use 3 gigs of RAM for the system interface, at least they'll have 13 gigabytes of RAM left for the games. The Nintendo is so backwards, but they can rectify this with an upgraded model, maybe 4 years from now, and at least make it 16 to 24 gigs of RAM, giving the system more shelf life. But hey, it is what it is, guys. Are you guys going to use a chat feature straight out of the box to show off to your friends that you got a Nintendo Switch 2? Like and subscribe.